Hello and welcome to my review of New Japan Pro Wrestling's New Beginning in Osaka, the big show of the New Beginning tour. I did a review last weekend, like just over a week, well, about a week ago, I can't remember exactly when it was, reviewing the first shows on the tour in Sapporo, but I've not done the remaining shows. They were just kind of mostly filler with a little bit of important stuff. I've not actually watched all of them just yet. I will be doing though. But yeah, excuse me, this was the big show. You may have noticed, if you're familiar with my usual voice, this isn't it. I'm poorly. Leave a like to say get well soon. Let me know in the comments, get well soon. Also, let me know your thoughts on the show in the comments. And maybe start typing, but also listen, and then you can tell me what you directly agree and disagree with that I've said. And it would be greatly appreciated to get some good support on this video. Also, subscribe if you're new here. Anyway, let's get on with the show. It started off in traditional New Japan style with an 8-man tag, and this was part of Nakanishi's retirement tour. I believe he retires on the last show of this tour, which I think, isn't there some shows on like the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, and that might be it, of February, I think. So I think that'll be it, but as far as I'm aware, this was his last show in Osaka. So that's kind of the idea of this tour. Well, it's not the idea, it's just coincidence, but every show in a new location, it's his last show in that location kind of thing. So he's saying goodbye multiple times kind of thing. So this was, I'm not going to bother too much with first names that I can't pronounce. As long as there's no repetition of surnames, I should be okay. We've got Taguchi. I'll try it, why not? Risuke Taguchi. Toa Hanare, who I really like. Tomoaki Honma. Togi Makabe. That's one team, I forgot to say and. Against Yuji Nagata, who is... Oh, I was going to add something then, but I think I'm wrong. Never mind. Satoshi Kojima, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, and Manabu Nakanishi, who is retiring. I didn't write a whole lot down about this. I've realised there's not much point in me covering these multi-man matches in great detail. They are what they are. They're all pretty much of a muchness. You know, the multi-man tag matches, like, you know what to expect. They had the usual. I think it must be a Nakanishi special. This everyone in a submission spot at one point in the match. He got someone in his traditional torture rack type move, and then everyone else on his team came in and grabbed someone else coming in to try and break it up and put them in a submission. I know there was an Anaconda Vice. I think there was a crossface. I can't remember for the life of me what the final submission was, but everyone was in a submission at one point on the other team being put in a submission by someone on Nakanishi's team. The match finished with Kojima pinning Honma, which I was a little surprised. I thought Nakanishi's team would be mostly losing these matches, you know, as it's his retirement tour. I know it's not all of their retirement tours, but it's his retirement tour and people usually go out on their back, so I thought he'd lose a lot more on this retirement tour, but so far he's doing alright actually. I think he pinned Honma. I'll be honest, I'm a bit ADD, which is like less severe ADHD, and I was like trying to settle down to watch this, and I watched the finish of this match like 7 times to actually find out who was even involved in it. So like, because I just kept drifting away within like 10 seconds, not because it was a bad match, and I was just like, ooh, you know, that castle's new kind of thing, like, and so I had to rewatch it. I believe it was Kojima pinning Honma, but I'm willing to be corrected in the comments if I'm wrong. After the match, Nakanishi cut a promo, standard retirement tour promo. You know, thanks for everything, thanks for supporting me. Adios. You know, you know, that sort of stuff. Up next, we had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships match with Yo and Sho, the champions, coming out with Rocky Romero for, I believe, the first time on this tour. Defending against El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, who I actually quite like. Kanemaru, who's quite fun. They had a really aggressive start for Roppongi 3K, which is Yo and Sho's tag team name, if you don't know. I actually wrote down at one point, there was a spot where one of them was outside the ring. I'm going to assume it was Sho, because Sho was coming into this match less than 100%, so that was like the story of the match, was them working over Sho and trying to take advantage of him being hurt. So I assume it was Show, but one of the champions, was outside the ring, and Kanemaru was trying to accept a count-out win, and I was like, wait, can titles change hands by count-out in New Japan? Because I don't believe the commentators said it. If they did, ADHD, or ADD, sorry. This was answered later during, let me find out very quickly which match. I think it was the Ryuli Takahashi match. Yeah, it was. The commentators actually clarified that the match could have ended by count out and the title would have changed hands, but Ryuli decided he wanted to win it legit. So yeah, that answers my question. I didn't know that. That's the difference about New Japan that I didn't know. I don't know if that's a general thing in Japan. Like, I don't know if All Japan and Noah and Dragon Gate and all those other companies, I don't know if they... There's Dragon Gate? There's a Dragon Gate as well as a Dragon Gate USA, right? I think so. Anyway, I don't know if they all follow that rule, or if that's a New Japan rule. I don't know. Feel free to let me know if you know a little bit more in the comment section. It would be greatly appreciated. Always happy to learn stuff like that. But yeah, Kanemaru was going to accept the title win, which confused me, because I thought, well, they won't win the titles, and then I thought, well, maybe they do. And then I was like, I'll look it up after the show, and then I didn't need to. Yeah, so as I said, the story was Show struggling with an injury. I really liked his shock arrow move that he did at one point. It only got a 2. I thought maybe you could finish the match with this. Like, it was like a straight jacket pile driver, so he like crosses their arms under the body and like holds the opposite wrist, so they can't uncross their arms, and then picks them up and drops them in a pile driver. I thought that was a nice little twist on a traditional pile driver. It was really nice. Their finisher is... what they used to finish the match was Strong X, they called it, which was Ray Phoenix and Pentagon Jr.'s tag finisher in AEW, the package pile driver and double foot stomp onto the bum to like drive them down harder, if you like. And then they got the pin on Kanemaru with that. After the match, I think it was Show got the win, but he was like still down. And after the match, Desperado and Yo got into a bit of a slap off. I wrote like they had a bit of a slapping match back and forth, and then got separated by the few young lions that actually bothered. It was like one young lion each and separated them. It was like, okay, you're really not that bothered about getting at each other, are you here? And then afterwards, Taguchi comes out and wants to challenge Yo and Show, because obviously Taguchi's been their coach and been teaming with them in a lot of multi-man matches on this tour. He wants to team with Rocky Romero, their other coach, as the mega coaches, to challenge Roppongi 3K, and Roppongi accepted. So that could actually be quite an interesting match. I like the Japanese comedy wrestlers more than I like traditionally like American comedy wrestlers, because a lot of it's WWE's sense of humour is a bit cringe. And that's most of my exposure to American wrestling. So like Colt Cabana is a good example where he's not a WWE comedy wrestler and he's quite good, but WWE comedy, which is the vast majority of my exposure to it, is pretty bad. But yeah, having Taguchi and Romero in this context, like challenging, should be good fun. Apparently Taguchi's also after the Never Openweight 6-man titles. I've not watched that bit of the tour where that gets revealed yet, but apparently he's after them, and his team's going to be him. Is it Yano, the comedy guy who the gif of the guy shrugging, like, I don't know, him, I think he's called Yano, and Colt Cabana. What a team. I want to watch that match, definitely. So yeah, everyone's going for double gold at the moment in Japan. It's like the theme of the season, it seems to be. It's like the cool thing to do this season. It's not, wearing a certain type of hat or a certain type of coat. It's wearing 2 championship belts. Anyway, moving on to the next match. Another multi-man match, but this had a bit more substance to it in terms of story than the retirement one. The retirement one just seems to be, let's throw a load of guys that get along in together and let them put on a match. That's the extent of the story. Yeah, they probably all have history and stuff like that, but they're not focusing on telling the story. They're just chucking guys with history and guys with good friendships and strong alliances and formerly strong rivals, I assume, together. Whereas there was reason to this. This was the former IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions David Finlay and Juice Robinson teaming with Kota Ibushi and Hiroshi Tanahashi, who beat Guerrillas of Destiny at New Year's Dash, and we're like, let's go for the titles. I think they beat Guerrillas of Destiny. They won at New Year's Dash anyway, and we're like, hey, let's team up and go for the tag titles. But then Ibushi got ill, so it was really good to see him back, by the way. So they're taking on the current tag team champions, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, the Gorillas of Destiny, and their Bullet Club teammates, Chase Owens and Yujiro Takahashi, Tokyo Pimp. So Finlay and Robinson have been trading the titles with Gorillas of Destiny a little bit this year, and then Kota Ibushi and Tanahashi were supposed to be challenging for the tag titles, so you can see where this is. Everyone's kind of gunning for the Gorillas. First thing about was obviously, like I've already said, really glad to see Ibushi back and back able to wrestle and feeling well. So that's good. There was a lot of kendo stick involvement on the outside. I didn't actually write down. Is it Jado? I can't remember how it's pronounced, but he was on the outside with Chase, I assume, because Takahashi had his girl in the mask that I don't actually know the name of. And when I say in the mask, it's the only thing I can describe her as wearing, really. But not that I'm complaining, just saying, just pointing out a fact. But so he got involved with a couple of kendo stick shots, but Tanahashi still wins with a roll up. And then, obviously, the story is, well, who's going to be going for the gold? Because Juice and Finlay aren't done with Gorillas of Destiny, but now Ibushi and Tanahashi have another claim. They beat them, kind of thing. So after the match, by the way, Gorillas of Destiny attacked Tanahashi, but then Ibushi made the save. And then the story was like between the two face teams that made up the four-man team, if you like, in the 8-man tag. Who's going to get the shot, kind of thing. So that was interesting. Let me just take a quick sip because obviously sore throat. And I'm back. So next up, they had. I started writing out what the next match was, and then I realised actually this is kind of important. They had a few announcements. I'll be honest. When I see a video package, I'm like, I don't understand the communication in it. I don't understand Japanese, so I don't understand what's being said, and the subtitles are still in Japanese if there's any. So like, for the most part. So I was like, right, I'm going to the toilet. So I didn't catch all of this, but when I came back, they were talking about the fact that they've announced another show for Madison Square Garden, which is pretty cool. So I thought that was worth putting in. I think they were talking about the dates for the G1 and stuff like that, but the G1 happening isn't really much of an announcement. Everyone knows the G1's going to be happening, just maybe don't know when and where, but exact dates and locations. But the Madison Square Garden announcement was a pretty big one. Then after that, we had a tag team match where it seems to be continuing two issues that I thought maybe had been resolved, but clearly haven't. So we had Taichi with Miho Abe, I believe is how her name is said, who keeps accompanying into the ring, and Zack Sabre Jr., and they're Suzuki-gun, aren't they? Taking on Will Ospreay and Kazuchika. See, I think it's Kevin Kelly says Kazuchika, but I believe most people seem to say Kazuchika. Kind of like that I is really short, so I'm not sure. But Okada, who cares? It's Okada, you know who I'm talking about. One thing I did notice, like I say, I nipped to the toilet. As I was coming back, I could only hear Taichi's music. He was the first one to make his entrance. And I thought, that's the first, like, really, really standoutish theme song. That other than someone like Chris Jericho, who's got Fozzy playing him out, so it's a song in itself. Like, the first song that I got introduced to through New Japan that I now really recognise. That, as I was walking back, I was like, oh, Taichi's in this match, kind of thing, before I looked. So I thought that was interesting. Right, this tag match, obviously Taichi and Okada have had a rivalry, and Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay are still fighting over the British Heavyweight Championship. The opening enziguri, Taichi caught Okada flush in the face. I'm sure he caught him, because Okada looked a bit, stunned, and not in a selling kind of way, oh, wow, whoa, that was a bit snug, mate, kind of thing. So yeah, that caught him, and he got the upper hand for a lot of the opening part of the match. One thing I want to say, and I understand Okada is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and I understand everyone's really high on him. I'm not personally a big fan. I've covered this before in videos. I think you can acknowledge someone's good without having to have them be your favourite. But I don't like his forearms. His forearms look weak. He does not lay in his forearms. Like so many people in Japan lay in their forearms. They hit each other pretty convincingly. Like, pretty hard. They make some good contact. Okada's... they don't look impactful at all, Okada's forearms. His dropkick, however, is absolutely beautiful. Not going to take anything away from that. But yeah, I just thought his forearms when he was fighting back against Taichi looked really weak. Kind of hard to sell, because the more you sell that, the more ridiculous it looks because they look so weak, in a way. The finishing sequence was really cool. There was a lot of... You'd have to watch it. I didn't even try to write it down, but there was a load of sort of double teaming and switching who you were attacking and da-da-da. And then Zack Sabre Jr. ends up outside the ring, and Ospreay does his traditional sort of cartwheel into a backflip over the top rope and takes him out. And Okada's hitting a spinning tombstone and then picks him up, and it's the Rainmaker. I'm not doing it justice. Watch it. It was a really good finishing sequence, actually, and Okada pins Taichi with the Rainmaker. I'm not sure if that's like bringing an end to their issue. I don't know, is the honest answer. But, I mean, it's one of those where I think if Taichi had won this match, I mean, he eliminated Okada in a multi-man elimination tag match, which includes over-the-top rope eliminations in Japan, which is interesting. On the tour, I've seen that show. That's the only one I've seen so far between Sapporo and Osaka, is the one that was main evented by an 8-man elimination tag. So Taichi eliminated Okada, but if he'd have beat Okada here in a tag match, that would give reason to have a rematch, whereas it just feels like, other than chucking him over the top rope once, Okada's had Taichi's number. What's his interest in fighting him again? Okada should be looking for a challenge and looking to move upwards, and Taichi's now behind him, because he's beaten a couple of times, so yeah. Anyway, next, we're into the singles matches. Now, this is where my interest really picks up. The last couple of matches, I understood what was on the line. I mean, obviously, basically, there's been more on the line in everything but the first match in this show, but it's still that sort of opening up with lots of teams getting chucked together that aren't necessarily regular tag teams, except the tag title match, obviously. But now we're into the single stuff. I actually wrote very little down in this match. I just was enjoying it, and honestly, I was a little bit of a mark at one point. I was getting annoyed at Gedo for all the interference, and I was like, oh, they're playing me. I was like, oh, it's too much interference, and there was probably too much interference, but that was the point. I wouldn't have been annoyed at them after one or two things, but after about the 6th or 7th time that Gedo got involved, I was like, right, can we just get rid of him and have a wrestling match, please? And I was like, oh, they got me good. So it's Jay White against Sanada, in case I didn't actually bother saying that. It was a really good match. Like I said, there was lots of Gedo interference, and Jay White wins with the Blade Runner, which, even though Gedo wasn't directly involved in the finish, he definitely swung the momentum a couple of times where you could argue that Sanada was close to putting Jay White away. There was an interesting decision where he had him locked in. It's called Skull End, isn't it? His Dragon Sleeper with a body scissors. He had him locked in that. He had Jay White locked in that for a long time, and then elected to let go and go for a moonsault. And I was like, no, he's fading out. Just hold on. Like, even if he don't tap, he's going to pass out eventually. Like, just hold on. Like, that's all he had to do to win. And instead he went for a moonsault, missed, and it came back to bite him eventually. But yeah, I think Gedo interfered enough to not make Sanada look weak in defeat, which I think was the idea. But at the same time, when it came down to the finishing sequence, Jay White still beat Sanada by himself. So it made Jay White look strong enough. Maybe not strong enough. It made him look fairly strong. I wouldn't say he looked strong in this victory because there was a lot of dependence on Gedo, but it didn't make Sanada look weak. So no one came out of this looking worse than they did going in, put it that way. So very well done to both guys. It was an entertaining match. The next match, I wrote a lot more about this one. Ryuli against Hiromu Takahashi, who's the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and the belt was on the line. Now, I didn't actually clock this, or maybe I did and just didn't sort of register the significance. Ryuli's the one who injured Takahashi in July 2018, and he ended up out for like 18 months on. Well, not quite, obviously, because we're not even 18 months from there now, are we? Just about. And he's already been back a couple of months. But maybe 15, 16 months he was on the shelf because of that injury caused by Ryuli. So, and this is a huge rivalry spanning across Mexico, America, Japan. They faced like 90 times in singles matches, which is No, wait. Was it 90 in singles? No, it was 90 in total in like opposite side of singles matches, tag matches, all that stuff. But or was it singles? I can't remember. Maybe it was. It was something. I was like, oh my god, this number's ridiculous. Anyway, the point is, they've faced off an awful lot. They know each other really well. And then you've got this backstory as well, where Ryuli actually cost Takahashi like almost his career. Obviously not intentionally or anything like that, but still, it builds into a good story, doesn't it? Like the match started with a little bit of a flurry and some suplexes and what have you. Then it went into this like chop fest, and it was fun at first, and then it went on for like I didn't time it, but it literally felt like about 5 minutes of them just chopping each other in the chest. It just felt like too much. Like the chops, it was fun for like the first minute. The chests are going red raw, and it's who's the manlier man, and the refusing to back down. Then it's like, okay, get it now. It's been like 5 minutes. Give up. Then the match started properly, and it got interesting from that point on. That bit almost took me out of it, but I bared with it because I knew how good these two are. Is it bared? I bared with it? That sounds so wrong. Bore with it? I don't know. I stuck with it. That's a word I know how to put in the past tense. Now, there was a really cool spot where Ryu Lee jumped over the top rope. Takahashi was like on the apron, and Ryu Lee jumped over the top rope, but legs first, like with his back facing towards the floor, if you can picture that. So he sort of like a shotgun drop kick, where like that kind of jump. But then he hooked on to Takahashi, who was on the apron, and Hurricane Rana'd him off the apron, which was a really cool spot. I've never seen that before, and that was, and I don't know if that's me showing my own experience watching Ryu Lee matches or whatever he's called, Dragon Lee, is it in Ring of Honor, whatever he's called, but yeah, I don't know if that's my inexperience, but I've never seen that before, and it looked really cool. Then he had Takahashi sitting on a ring apron, not a ring apron, a ringside barrier, a ring barricade, like the metal barrier between the first one, because they have two in Japan, don't they? They have like barricade, announce teams, barricade, fans kind of thing. This is the first one, and he suicide dived into Takahashi, who was sitting on the barricade, and they both went clean over it, which I thought was, again, really cool. As I mentioned before, during the junior tag title match, the count-out question was answered because Ryu Lee had an opportunity to win the title by count-out, but chose to put Takahashi back in the ring and try and win the honourable way. So despite how much of a rivalry they have, I got the perception both face in this. Like, they both respect each other despite the injury thing. Like, it's personal, but it's not face-heel. It's just really personal. I don't know, maybe I was misinterpreting people's actions, but neither of them came across as a heel to me in this match. Yeah, they teased the move that injured Takahashi, which, in case you're wondering, it's on the games, and I've never actually seen it in real life until I saw the video of Takahashi getting hurt. Which is like, they have him up in like a powerbomb position, but then they grab the head and pull it down and tuck the head into like a muscle buster kind of position. So they're almost like folded in half. So your legs are over your opponent's shoulders, but your head is also on their shoulders. And then they fall back into a bridge and slam you in like... The way you land is like a brainbuster. Like as the victim of it, you land almost like a brainbuster position. But obviously with your legs all hooked up and stuff. And in the video of it messing up, for some reason Takahashi's head comes loose, and he ends up basically landing on his head, which obviously isn't fun. So they teased that move, but obviously Takahashi fought out of it. There's loads. I just wrote in the end lots of high spots. Like, seriously, go and give this show a watch. Really fun show. This match was great. Lots of high spots. Too much to write everything down. There was one that deserved a mention, which was Ryu Lee hit this brutal-looking knee. And this isn't really a high spot, it was just like a strike in the match. But, oh my god, he looked like he... Like, normally I can see through the Kenny Omega V-trigger, you can see it hit them on the shoulder, kind of thing. This looked so flush, but Takahashi kicked out at 2, so he obviously didn't hurt him. But, oh my god, it looked so flush. It was like, wow, that was a really good-looking knee. Takahashi hit a time bomb, Ryu Lee kicked out, and then Takahashi hit a second time bomb and won. And then after the match, Takahashi was like waving a finger at Ryu Lee like, one more, and the commentators were like, can we just not? Can we make them a tag team or something so they don't kill each other? And they're both going, yeah, one more time, like both the wrestlers, and all the commentators were like, no, let's not, and it was quite a good moment. I thought that was pretty cool. So apparently they're going to go at it one more time per Takahashi's request. I don't know what his motivation is. He's now even, he's beat him clean, he's defended his title. I don't quite understand that. I mean, I know they're basically eternally entwined at this point, to fight each other forever, but like, have a break, you know, and come back to it. Maybe that's what they will do, but it felt like they were sort of saying, yeah, you're next again, kind of thing. But I don't know. Anyway, I wrote down after this that I was really giddy for the last two matches, because that was the point where I realised what's left on the show, which they tell you in advance the order the matches are going in. I get that. But this is where it hit me, that the last two matches were going to be amazing, like, going to be so much fun. So the 7th match, the semi-main, what do they call it? Semi-final, they call it in when they're announcing them in the video packages, and the commentary team call it the semi-final in Japan. Minoru Suzuki against John Moxley for the United States Championship. Moxley's obviously the champion. I just put really fun, wild brawl. There's nothing more to say about this. They were all over the place. They were dueling with chairs. They were putting each other through tables. They were doing all sorts. They were laughing at each other. They were biting each other. Watch it. Can't do it justice. I'm not going to sit here and break it down move by move. It doesn't do it justice. Great match. Amazing, fun, wild brawl. I love both these guys, and both these guys justified my love for them in this match. Great fun. Go give it a watch. Moxley wins with a Death Rider. It was actually a second of the match, but unlike the last match, they weren't like back-to-back finishers. He'd hit one earlier, Suzuki kicked out. They did some more back and forth stuff, and then Moxley wins with the second Death Rider of the match. Then after the match, as Suzuki's having an absolute fit, he slapped one of the young lions as he walked away, I remember, and then he's wrecking the ringside barriers on his way up the entranceway and stuff like that. And Moxley's watching him, having a chuckle, and then Zack Sabre Jr. attacks and locks in the rear naked choke and chokes out John Moxley. So apparently Zack Sabre Jr. is going after the US title next, which will be a completely different type of match for Moxley. But I'm also really looking forward to seeing how that goes. That should be a lot of fun, that match. Also, I made a note to myself, a mental note. They've already had 2 double champions this year in New Japan, and Zack Sabre Jr. is defending the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship against Will Ospreay in England on Friday, on Valentine's Day. So I was thinking, I know Zack Sabre Jr. might not win against Moxley, but I feel like they need to stop teasing double champions. Everyone's going for double title at the moment. They need to make it a bit more of a special thing by stop teasing it. So especially with the build and how Ospreay's going on about how long he's worked for this and this is the time, I feel like Ospreay wins on Friday. Like, it's the only prediction I'm going to make for the show. I don't know a lot about Rev Pro, but I know this match is coming. I feel like Ospreay wins. I feel like it's now Ospreay's time. And then Zack Sabre Jr. can go into this US title match with Moxley without people all saying, well, he's obviously not going to win because they're not going to put another double title on someone, you know. So it helps that match be a bit more unpredictable, in my opinion. Even if Moxley still wins it, it at least makes it a little bit less predictable, or more unpredictable, as I said before. So that's like my little mini prediction for the 14th. Which, interestingly, my notes for this are being written in an old diary. This isn't interesting at all, but it interested me, so I'm going to say it. A 2013 diary that I had lying around, and I thought, well, I may as well use it up. So I'm making my notes in that. And these notes were written on Thursday the 14th. Just this exact match just happened to be on Thursday the 14th, because it's like when you open a page so you can see 2 pages, like one on the left, one on the right. That's 1 week in the diary, and this match just happens to be written in the 14th of February slot from 2013. Crazy. Anyway, so, and I mentioned the 14th in it. That's why it's crazy coinkydink. So yeah, if you find that really interesting, then wow. Got a life, but also, hey, welcome to the club. I found that interesting. Right, main event. If you didn't find this interesting, wow, get a life. This was amazing. This was such good storytelling. This wasn't, I mean, it kicked up a gear and became a really good match, but this was about the story. This was about these two personalities clashing, rather than everything needing to be a 7-star match. This was only a great match, because it didn't need to be more. Kenta challenging Tetsuya Naito for both the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Kenta brought out Bullet Club, which got big heat, and I thought was a good move. Now, Naito is not averse to breaking the rules and acting like the bad guy, even though he's obviously a face. Everyone loves him. He should have just been like, right, LIJ, let's go, and brought them all out. Now, they ended up sending Bullet Club to the back, and it ended up being an even match. I get that, but I feel like within Naito's character, as soon as he saw that, he should have been there in the locker room ready to make his entrance, and he sees them all, and they take the time getting down to the ring. He should be going around the locker room going, come on, we're off, like, we're going to war, like, they're all out there, we're all going out there, no one's getting one over on LIJ, let's go. You know, that I feel would have been an appropriate response. But he didn't. Bullet Club ended up getting kicked out because I think it was Tama Tonga pushed Red Shoes and he had a hissy fit. And it took a long time to get Bullet Club out of there. Like, maybe a bit too long. Got a bit bored with just watching Red Shoes covering his ears and going, la la la, I'm not listening, get out of my arena. Which, it was funny, but it also took too long. Anyway, then the bit that did not take too long, the bit that took a long time and it was perfect, was Kenta constantly rolling in and out of the ring and like refusing to lock up with Naito. And even after a lock up, still rolling out and stuff. It was great fun. Then Naito does it, predictably. They've done this little spot in every multi-man match they've been on opposite sides of. And it's been fun in every single one. I wonder what Tanahashi was saying. I made a note of this. He was on Japanese commentary. I wonder what he was making of Kenta rolling in and out and you know, avoiding starting the match for like the first 5 minutes. I wonder what he was making of that, you know, being Tanahashi, being who he is. I'm not sure. Anyway, Naito did it, and then once he got Kenta on the back foot outside, he then did his usual, you know, bounce off the ropes, roll through and do his little pose. But then when Kenta came in to try and take advantage of the fact that Naito was lying on the floor posing, Naito saw him come in and slithered out and one-upped Kenta on the whole getting out of the way kind of thing. So really fun start to the match with them barely touching each other. I think at that point they'd done a lock-up and Naito had hit Kenta off the apron with a back elbow. And that was it. That was the entire physicality of the match at that point, but I was well invested by this point. It was great. Right, the match itself was fun, was really good. I can't think how else to describe it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but again, only writing down like significant moments, I would say, because I don't believe people watch these for like a play-by-play commentary on what happened. I feel like it's more for the my interpretation of what happened and how much I enjoyed it. So, yeah, it came to the end. Red Shoes took a bump. Jay White comes back out. Bushi came out to try and make the save. I thought this was really interesting that Sanada didn't show up because Sanada and Jay White have had the issue, like they had the match tonight. So I thought it was really weird that it wasn't Sanada. Bushi came out, tried to make the save, and he ate a Blade Runner for his troubles. Then Hiromu Takahashi actually made the successful save, which I didn't see coming. It was like, I was like waiting for Sanada. As soon as Jay White was out there, I was like, here comes Sanada. Where's Sanada? Where's Sanada? Why is Bushi here? Then Bushi got cleaned out. I was like, okay, now here comes Sanada. And I was like, why is Takahashi here? And I was like, is he going to kill all of LIJ until Sanada makes a save? Like, I was like, where are they going with this? But no, Takahashi successfully cleared off Jay White, which was interesting. Then, earlier in the match, Kenta had exposed the turnbuckle in the red corner. And then he bashed Naito's head into that, and there was blood everywhere. I don't think I've seen... Have I seen blood in a New Japan match? Was there blood in the Jericho Omega street fight? Jericho's debut match in New Japan. Well, re-debut match, I should say. I can't remember, but I certainly don't see it often, but I can't remember if there was blood in that in a previous New Japan match I've watched. I don't recall it. Again, maybe a Moxley one, but I don't instantly recall off the top of my head it happening. But Naito was bleeding a lot, but he still won with Destino. It was a great match, really good fun. Basically my two favourites in Japan and two of my favourites in the world going at it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Wouldn't have cared if Kenta had won. And I thought it was a weird booking decision to instantly take the double title off Naito after making the big deal out of it. I feel like he needs to reign for a bit and then maybe needs to split his defences so someone can take one belt off him, probably the Intercontinental, and let him have a good run with the heavyweight. Because as far as I'm aware, he's only a 2-time heavyweight champion and his first run wasn't very long, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe it wasn't a very long run, so I feel like that's what they should do, is take the IC title off him eventually and let him keep running with the world title for a bit longer. Anyway, after the match, Naito does his post-show address. Whoever wins the main event always addresses the crowd. And then Naito brings out Hiromu Takahashi. And apparently we're coming up to the anniversary show for New Japan, and it's something of a tradition to have the world heavyweight, the IWGP heavyweight champion take on the IWGP junior heavyweight champion in a match on that show. But it's normally non-title, I believe. But Takahashi was eyeing up the heavyweight title, which was interesting. But didn't give a second glance to the Intercontinental Championship, which a bit disrespectful, really, to that belt. Why doesn't he want both? Why does Kenta want both? He should be going for 3 belts. But anyway, yeah, so it's interesting because I don't know how often it actually happens this way, but they're both in the same team. They're both in LIJ. So it's going to be like a respectful affair building up to it, but they're both actually going to want to win. And what happens if Takahashi beats Naito, even if it's non-title? What happens in terms of the pecking order in LIJ? Is Takahashi in charge then? Like, how does that work? I don't know. Is this leading to some sort of friction between them or something? Or is it just leading to a really fun match? You know, like, I still find that sort of stuff hard to predict because I don't fully understand New Japan's booking style the same way I pretty much understand a lot of WWE's. I find New Japan a lot harder to predict just because they still don't do a lot of stuff that I fully expect. Like, I don't necessarily think it's stupid or illogical. I just don't think I'm seeing the same logical path as they are. There's more than one way to proceed logically with a storyline, and they don't do something and I'm like, oh, they're just swerving us for the sake of it. This is stupid. Like I do with WWE sometimes, but I also don't get it right. So it's an interesting place, really, that I'm in with New Japan. Anyway, this video's gone long enough. I need to get this edited and uploaded. Hopefully, this is going up the day after, so Monday at 8 PM UK time. However, I'm recording this at 8 AM UK time on Monday, so fingers crossed I can render it and upload it quick enough. But we will find out. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the show and what parts of what I said you agreed with and disagreed with. What your favourite match was, what your least favourite, you know, anything like that. Just in the comments, let's have a conversation about some New Japan. And anything that I got wrong factually about how New Japan works or, you know, the rules and stuff like that. In the comments, I want to know. I want to learn. So let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, share with your friends, the usual good stuff. Check the description for my other channels, for my social media, for Patreon, all that good stuff. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching. As always, I've been Abaza, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.